Hey guys, welcome to Happywax TV and
everybody.
Let's Talk Horror. Axemaster
Dr. Anton Mysterio.
and Happywax.
Professor Anton Mysterio.
Professor
Would you
Anton
prefer
Mysterio.
doctor or Professor Doctor?
Dr. Professor's good.
Dr. Professor Anton Mysterio.
Too bad it's Dr. Professor. So. Okay, and yeah, let's talk horror, and today we're going to talk about CGI. So, yeah, basically what it is, I mean, we just give our views on it, and then we discuss it a little bit, and yeah, that's what we do.
Cheers to episode number 2.
Episode number 2.
Got
Chin,
my
chin.
agua.
Chin,
Got
chin.
my agua tonight.
All right.
All right. CGI, crappy generated images, is that what it's called?
Yes, it should be.
I need an education here.
Yeah.
Educate me on the crappy generated images.
Who wants to
Comically
start?
generic images.
Who wants to start? I'll tell you what. Let's paper, rock, scissors. Ready? Oh shit! I think rock beats 2 fucking scissors.
Damn it.
All right.
Well, I started off, and I will yet again start off as such. I hate CGI.
Well, that was
I hate CGI.
well, that was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was episode
Yeah.
number 2.
Stay scared.
Stay scared. See you later.
Yeah. Now that's just me. I have a background in art. I've got a diploma in illustration and design, so I've been trained classically with painting and drawing, drafting, and anatomy, medical illustration, all this wonderful stuff. And now this is going back into ancient times. This is last century, actually, when I was in back when I was in school,
Yeah.
before I was professing my doctordom.
Yeah.
Back when you drew with a pencil
Yeah.
Yes.
instead of a little thing on a pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I have a love of the actual the craft of art. And when I was in college taking this stuff, we would have studio people that would come in and they would talk to us. And one time that we were there, I don't remember the studio that they were talking about, or the studio that was being represented that came in, but they were looking for people that were matte painters for the backgrounds
yeah.
and stuff like that. So it was in the time when CGI was sort of just kind of breaking into the industry. Like it's been there forever, but it's going big at this time. And they had iterated to us that painting is matte painters and set design and all this stuff is still going to be all very
For those of
important.
you who don't know what matte painting is, because you were born after the turn of the century, matte painting is actually artists like Dr. Professor Anton Mysterio who would go in there and paint the cityscape behind the scene, and it was an actual painting or mural.
Yeah.
That's what matte painting is.
Yeah, and you see it in every old movie.
Yeah.
Where you have people, they'll be on the actors are on an actual stage.
sound
They have
set,
the mural behind them, which is part of the set, and it's made a lot like theater
Yeah.
would be. So that's where the concept comes in. So CGI came in, and one of the things that you first notice when CGI is creeping into movies is how apparent the CGI is and how bad it was. I don't even want to talk about Lawnmower Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was this whole thing when CGI was coming out about going through these tunnels, and it's like, ooh, okay, you're going through tunnels of rings.
Yep.
And then tunnels of squares.
Yeah.
And that was the big, and the lighting flashes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's exciting. It's a new technology. We should embrace it. I still, to this day, I don't think that they're there yet. I put on a movie which I will not name. It wasn't in the horror genre, but within 5 minutes, my wife and I had to turn the movie off because we couldn't even look at it. The whole thing was a green screen movie. It had big name actors. You could see where there was actual physical props, and then everything else just looked like a cartoon all around them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't supposed to look like a cartoon, but in my eyes, I still see a lot of the CGI as cartoon.
Yeah.
Now, The Mask that is a perfect application
Sure.
for CGI.
Yeah.
And I won't say I hate it because the whole the premise of it was the way the character was. You can't do that with a lot of
Not even with Jim Carrey's crazy face muscles.
Yeah.
so I hate the look of CGI. I hate how it's used a lot of times, and I hate the fact that so many movies in this modern age are almost just a playground for CGI. Like,
Well, there was images online of the not the original Star Wars, but 1, 2, and 3. Remember? And it was like they compared the two, right? The originals, and there was all these background props and all this practical stuff, and then they fast forwarded to the new ones, and it was just a fucking blue and green screen, and that was it. And I'm like, that sums up exactly what you're saying for a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to go, or do you want me to go?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, I kind of agree with Dr. Professor. I think a lot of movies, if they don't have a budget at all, I think it's like, well, we can do it with a computer, like CGI flames.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
You don't have enough budget to put a fucking couple hibachis that run on gas into some windowsills and make a real flame look like it's flickering. I mean, CGI flame is the biggest cop out.
Yeah.
Or CGI headshots,
Yeah.
they look horrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, I was gonna ask you, and I'm really glad that you brought up matte painting, because I was gonna ask, like, what do you think of these days? Do you think CGI backgrounds, like, because we watched there was a zombie movie with the girl that got stuck in the truck a while ago.
Hostel.
Hostel, and they had some backgrounds in that where there was a city. And it looked pretty cool, like, but then again, I don't have classical art training at all. I'm just a film buff, or and I thought that's pretty good, and that was about the only kind of CGI thing that there was, unless it was matte painting. I mean, I don't know how to tell, but what do you think about, like, now? Do you think the backdrops or stuff like that? Do you think they've come up to the same kind of caliber?
They in recent movies that I've seen, like I said, you can still point out the CGI in most cases, right? They are getting better with it. Yeah. Sometimes they really shit the bed, and that just ruins the whole thing. But I do believe that, and this will be using terms that we were forbidden to use, style, the style of these things. When you can incorporate that to create a unique style, a visual sense that you're not going to get from just regular shooting. That's something fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. Let's go ahead and use that. Look at go back to Der Golem, 1920 early German expressionist film, where they didn't have CGI, but they built the sets, and all the sets were crazy, weird angled walls and weirdly shaped rooms and stuff like that, which to them would be sort of their modern, in the early 1900s, their modern,
almost abstract
way of showing something that's not quite right.
Yep.
See, I look at it like, I mean, sometimes the CGI flame sucks, the headshots suck. Those are like cop-outs to me. If you're doing the Lord of the Rings,
I was going to say,
you're not going to, you're not really employing matte painters anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like those movies. I mean, maybe someone who with art training watches them and doesn't like them, but I mean, I like them. I like the stuff, and I know there's CGI in it. I mean, there's tons of it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, I'm on the fence. I certainly don't like it when they cop out, and if you can't film this year and you're gonna throw in some CGI flame headshots and or the creature in some of the movies. We watched a creature feature there a while ago where the thing came out of the box. I'm so bad at remembering names. Gremlin. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Like the gremlin itself was CGI. It sucked.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, because so for you who've been watching me for a while, every fucking review I do, I love practical effects. I love them. Not only do I love Tom Savini, who I talk about endlessly on my show, but I love Ray Harryhausen. I fucking, you know what I mean? And
Good old
you guys know what I'm going to say about him because I've talked about him forever. I use him in examples when I do trailer reviews. But I mean, again, we have to have CGI today. It's just it's a. But the thing is, and it's so funny, and I mean, I don't think we'd have Lord of the Rings without CGI.
No,
you wouldn't be able to make that movie
way,
and have it do well without CGI. And honestly, I think it was a great movie. And I'm not I'm not an artist like you are, so I don't see those things. I just kind of see with the numbness that my eyes take in, and it looks okay to me. If they made that movie,
you're almost damned to be an artist in some ways.
No, but and it's funny too because
My tortured soul.
No, and I understand. And it's funny because listening to you, and oddly enough, he has the same name as you. But my tattoo artist Anthony is a sculptor, and he also works on movies. Right? He's not a makeup, but he's like he builds props. Mm-hmm. He's worked on 300. He worked on Day of the Dead. He worked on Resident Evil. He's worked on some fucking good movies, and he's a prop maker, and he says the same thing that you do. Like, he loves practical because you can really see the CGI, especially if you have a trained eye for it. You know what I mean? So I respect what you're saying because it makes total sense. But me being, numb to it, I don't see it like you would probably see it. And again, it brings me back. But it's bad when I can fucking see it, like Gremlin or Sharknado. You know what I mean? It's like,
How about to reprise The Mummy, the Scorpion King?
Yeah, I mean that was the worst fucking
Scorpion
CGI.
King. Yeah,
when the Rock
brutal.
came out, it was brutal. It looked like there was fucking Sony PlayStation games that had better fucking visuals than that. It was fucking terrible. So I think my issue with CGI is when it's used and they can't afford to use it.
Yeah, when the implementation is just so terrible.
If you're a smaller budget movie and you can't afford good CGI, why the fuck do you need to use it? I mean, there's so many good movies that use practical effects. Why do you cheapen your possibly good movie down by using? I don't get it. You know what I mean?
Well, look at Dead Alive.
Yeah.
Imagine that with any CGI in it at all.
It would be terrible.
See, it would be fucking ridiculous.
The thing that was maybe driving practical effects was the fact that they didn't have this magical screen that you could just make anything appear, and that made innovative. Exactly. Right. They were able to come up with ways to tell a story without having to tell the story exactly as this is a pop can. See, it's a pop can. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
They would be like, oh, okay, I can see from the perspective of the pop can, I can see the killer.
This guy's head's gonna explode, and there's gonna be 18 gallons of fucking blood come out of it.
It's funny too when you were saying like splatter headshots and stuff. I just went and saw the new Purge movie, and it was so funny. Not me, but I went and saw it with my son, and he pointed out that all the headshots, the blood, were fucking like stock footage that you could get off of YouTube probably and just green screen it. That's how bad it was. Like it was brutal. What a fucking terrible movie. But that again, the potential for a good movie was there, and then they dumb it down. Like if you're making a movie of that budget, I'm assuming that movie had a fair size budget, not a huge one, but a fair size one. You know what I mean? Because why would you dumb it down with stock footage of blood shots that look fucking fake? It was just it was beyond me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the first one wasn't like that.
Yeah, and I don't understand it. So, but I guess if you're a huge practical guy, but I mean, two movies that come to my mind was Jurassic Park, where they used both practical and CGI, and Steven Spielberg he combined the two, and it looked great. And even Peter Jackson that did Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he did an awesome fucking job with incorporating practical and...
Yeah, well, again, like you said, like, I mean, the original, I like Jurassic Park. I know some people think it's cheesy or childish, but I like them because I like dinosaurs, man. You know, and I remember seeing that first movie and going, that's fucking awesome.
It was land shaking.
Yeah, it was like, there's a use for it, right? That there was no other way to do that. Like, I mean, if you had, if you had the stuffed dinosaurs walking around, it would look stupid, right?
Well,
I mean, it looked awesome.
Going back to animatronics and stop motion animation, the stuff that we used to see on TV all the time, like the Sinbads,
which are classics.
The Cyclops fight.
If you have not seen those, you should see them.
That's Ray Harryhausen
freaking awesome.
I mean, Jason and the Argonauts. I
Yeah.
mean, what
Yeah.
better fucking stop motion movie is there other than maybe King Kong, which he did as
Yeah.
well.
That's the one with all the skeletons,
Skeletons,
right?
man. Do you know how
that's
long
awesome.
he was? Okay, I don't. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
you.
that's-
But if you do the research on that movie, it took him. I think it was just the skeleton scene alone, the fight scene. I think it was almost a year. It took him just to do that one fucking scene because every single one had, and he did it himself. He had his little studio and he locked himself in his room for like 20 hours a day it was, and it was incredible, and it's one of the best fucking practical effects movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
It's 100% apparent
Yeah.
that it's not
and
real.
it wouldn't cut
But-
it today,
Yeah. But
which
it-
is sad. So you need some CGI. But
the funny thing about it, sorry to interrupt,
No.
was that even though you knew it was stop motion animation, even if you didn't know what it was called,
yeah,
you know, when you're a kid, when you're watching it, you knew it wasn't a physical actor.
Yeah.
You knew it was a special effect.
Yeah.
But it didn't bother you.
yeah,
You know, like I still look at old clips. When I see those, I'm like, they still look great.
yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
we have a thing when we go in to watch a movie, especially a horror movie.
Yeah.
Voluntary suspension of disbelief.
Mhm.
You have to have that.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, you put a baseline in your mind and you say, okay, there's going to be certain things that I'm
Yeah.
going to, you know, not pay too much attention to. But when the effects are so bad that it totally pulls that veil
Yeah.
away from it,
Yeah.
it just ruins the movie experience.
Mhm.
For me, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And it can be as
Well,
simple as one scene.
Yeah, look at The Thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, The Thing, again, The Thing's all practical. Like the 1982
yeah.
thing.
And you know,
Oh, look at the title sequence, the
Yeah.
opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all know the story of that. You see it's like a black screen, and then all of a sudden you start seeing like this melting or whatever, and then the thing comes
Yeah.
through. Practical effect. They didn't know what they were doing. They put a black plastic bag over a stencil,
Yeah.
and they lit it on fire,
And just let it
and then
go.
it just melted away, and it came up with this fantastic
oh,
effect.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, which is better than anything you probably do in CGI.
Yeah, and it's funny because the prequel was supposed to be the majority of it was CGI, remember? And then Universal stepped in and said, no, we're going to go with CGI instead. So they took all those practical effects. I can't remember what the group's name is, but then they took their practical effects and made Harbinger Down, which wasn't a very good movie. But still, it was all the practical effects from the prequel of The Thing that they used in there, in their kind of way to say, fuck you, Universal. And it was crowdfunded too, which was awesome, because people wanted to see those effects. And then the prequel of The Thing fucking tanked at the box office. So that's awesome. You know what I mean? As sad as it is to say, because you want to see movies flourish and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But
It's
that
kind
just
of
goes to show
poetic
you.
justice.
Yeah, and it was a terrible fucking movie. You know what I
So
mean?
all those cigar chomping guys kind of get their asses kicked
Yep.
on that one.
Yeah. So, but even like CGI's come a long way. There was a movie that came out years and years ago. I can't remember what the fuck it was called. I should have looked it up before. But it was like one of those cartoony movies like Tom Hanks did with the Christmas Story, or even Scrooged, Scrooge or whatever it was called, with Jim Carrey, where it's like live action, but it's like done in a cartoon style. Well, there was a movie that came. I can't remember what it was called. I don't know if it was Final Fantasy or something. But anyways, when it first came out, it was horrible because the people's faces looked like fucking robots, right? When they were supposed to look real, no emotion. And even in Tron, when it came out, the second Tron
Second
came
one,
out,
yeah.
Jeff Bridges' face, it looked fucking good, but you could still tell it was horrible. You know what I mean? But now, how old's Tron? Like 6-7 years old. So even just in the short time of 6 and 7 years, now they make movies, and I mean, some of them you can't tell. Like look
Yeah.
at Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
When the younger Kurt Russell. I mean, I couldn't fucking tell the difference. You
Or
might be
the
able
or
to,
the
but I
prince or the Princess Leia in
yeah,
at the end of the
of Rogue One.
yeah.
I mean
and
now,
Rogue One.
but even in that show, so CGI, like you said, is
you could tell a little bit, but I mean it was pretty cool.
yeah,
Right.
but it's leaps and bounds to where it was
Yeah.
even just like 5-6 years ago. So where's it going to be in another 5-6 years? You know what I mean? Which what I'm getting at is like I hope that it doesn't become like where it's just all movies are made like that because it gets so good. I still think you need practical in there, and
Yeah, well, if it got so good, you wouldn't need any actors.
Yeah, but
Well,
You could just make a CGI actor and pretend he's real.
That's
Or she.
that's an Orwellian 1984 step right there.
Well,
we don't need the actors.
Hey, that's a completely different topic and a different podcast, man. Holy Christ!
But look at some directors won't do that though, right? Because J.J. Abrams didn't do it. He refused to do it with the new Star Wars and even Star Trek. If you look at the special features on that, I mean, there's green screens. Obviously, you have to have fucking CGI. But I mean, a whole chunk of that Star Wars and Star Trek, the new ones, they're set pieces, like massive set pieces, like they were in the original ones too, which is awesome. Which is why fans were so excited for the new ones to come out because, yeah, we're gonna use CGI, but we're also gonna use just as much practical, so the actors aren't just.
Well, that's because Abrams is like us.
Yeah,
you know, he's from our.
And that's
from our time.
Yeah, and I hope we don't lose that. Because it would be a shame, and shame on George Lucas for. I mean, good on George Lucas for trying a new technology, but
George
shame on you
Lucas.
for fucking giving up.
Take that, George.
But he got his
Mother is talking to you.
Jesus, that's awesome. But he knows better now, no matter what he says in interviews, because he got fucking raked over the coals.
It's because he's languishing on Skywalker Island.
Yeah, having money fights
With John Carpenter and his little keyboard.
Ding 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 ding.
All day long. That's what George is listening to.
Ding 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 ding. And he's scoring the new Halloween movie.
Oh, is he really?
He is. He's scoring it, so that's where he's probably practicing right now.
Okay.
Maybe they'll do a live.
I shouldn't be so hard on John.
Remember we went to see Faust?
Yes.
And they had the guy playing the piano. Maybe they'll get John Carpenter to do
well, that'll be another
live with his keyboard.
Yeah. Well, we'll do another episode on that. We'll do directors that are like.
I shouldn't be hard on John.
No,
Sorry.
no,
If you guys
but
are-
but okay, let's look.
But he made me watch the Fog
Yeah.
remake.
Horrible fucking movie.
So it's like Jesus. After that,
We're gonna do a show on actors or not actors, directors, classic directors who sold out because there's been a few of them. And
I'm not saying nothing.
and I think it's all for money, but that's another show. So definitely we'll touch on that one too because that one really bugs me, especially when and we'll use John Carpenter. It's true. I mean, we're not hiding anything. I mean, look at some of the fucking movies he made after Ghost of Mars was like his last practical effects movie that was semi good.
It was semi good.
And then it was the fucking the Fog remake, and he made what other? Sorry. And then some other movie he made. We'll touch on that at a later date. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, any closing comments on CGI? I mean,
it has its place.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be overused.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the focus of your special effects department.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a movie will be terrible if you just base it on, hey, look at these special effects, let's try and wrap a story in this new technology we have, which we've seen.
Yeah,
countless
and if
times.
you're pushing a movie that way, you don't know much about filmmaking.
Yeah.
You're just some guy that's in the office that doesn't really listen to people.
Especially if you can't afford it. It's like you understand. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of if you're a lower budget movie, like why even try? I'm sure they save money in the end, but is it worth it? Because you're going to lose it when it comes to ticket sales at the box office or Blu-ray rentals or whatever, because people aren't going to buy your piece of shit. So unless somehow you luck out and you get into that cult category like Sharknado did, as shitty as that movie is,
there seems to be a big buzz about it.
Yeah, I mean, people are. I think it's like Leprechaun 2. Where it's
so
fucking bad.
It's good.
Yeah, it's people just have to watch it because it's like a Saturday night popcorn laugh out loud movie, kind of like The Room too. You know what I mean? Where it's so badly done that it's good.
They should look back to really low budget movies like Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And go
the original.
Look what the original Evil Dead,
the original
79 or whatever 80. I don't know. And they should say, look what those guys did with nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So.
And that's where the genius in movie comes out, where CGI can just kind of feel lazy.
Yeah.
Keep the innovation alive, there, filmmaker people.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Discerning audiences want to watch.
Yeah, it's too bad. It really is. So.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, we'll wrap that up. But this is obviously another topic that we'll get back to in a later episode. So again, thanks for watching. Keep your ideas coming in. We've all got our own ideas, as well as we're going to use yours, and we'll give you a shout out too when we do talk about your ideas. So yeah, keep them coming in. And again, thanks to all the new subscribers. You guys are awesome. And yeah, eventually we'll get to do live stream, because it would be awesome when we build an audience that we can sit here on the laptop and you guys can ask us questions about what we're talking about, so we can, talk in real time with you guys, which would be amazing. So that's what we're shooting for.
Put us on the spot.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So if you want to argue online, yeah, it's all good. So I think that's what we're gonna definitely get to when we get a little bigger audience. So hit that subscribe button, and yeah, when we get up there, it's awesome. But I think we're growing really fast, anyways. The way I look at it now, I think by Christmas we'll be up over 1,000 subscribers. So I think if we keep going the way we are now,
Sweet.
so yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, anyways, guys, I just want to say thanks. You guys, any closing comments?
Stay scared.
Stay scared.